The Stories of Our Children, Part 2, the Department of Justice defines murder as the unlawful killing of a human being with malice. As per statistical information gathered, the U.S. population in 2021 was 331.9 million people. In 2021, in the U.S. there were 26,031 murders reported. Deaths per 100,000 people in the U.S. is 7.8. Some people may look at those numbers and think they're not so bad. Others may look at them and think, oh well, it'll never happen to me, while others may be horrified by them for a moment, then move on. What most people fail to see is the people behind those numbers. When one person murders another, it doesn't just stop there. Every single murder victim is someone's child. Someone's heart. The following video hopes to serve as a reminder of love, of loss, and of a pain we pray you never know, a reminder that murder destroys more lives than statistics can count. What follows are the stories of our murdered children. These are the stories the news only shows locally. These are the stories you've probably never heard of. Here, the names of their killers are left out with great intention. This is not about them, these are the stories of our children. And why they're not here. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Winnie the Pooh. Macon Smith, August 22, 90 to October 28, 19. Would it surprise you to hear the lovely young lady pictured above looks just like her mom? Or that she loves balloons and seeing stars makes her eyes sparkle? There is not a lot of information to be had on this case. Here's what is known. She was in Tijuana, Mexico. The official cause of death, pulmonary embolism. She was cremated and returned to her family in the U.S. Little if any investigation was done. Or ever will be done. No questions answered. Her family was beyond devastated. Her eyes still sparkle among the stars. Dominic Prusinski, December 27, 95 to January 9, 17. Mom, be careful. And stay away from downtown. Dom, laughing, look at the size of me, all 6 feet 4 inches and 300 pounds. Mom, it won't matter if they have a knife or gun. Dominic had gone downtown that night. For the last time. He had been set up to be robbed. Someone brought a knife. 24 hours later, 21-year-old Dominic staggered into the police station, bleeding profusely. He collapsed to the floor. He had been stabbed. 12 hours after that, with his mom by his side, Dominic lost his life. The man eventually arrested for the killing is now 19 but was 17 at the time of the incident. His identity is protected under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Caitlin McLucas, April 2, 89 to March 14, 22. Caitlin was an absolute sweetheart. She loved poetry, both writing it and performing it. If you were new to the art scene, she'd be your biggest fan, someone to cheer you on. A little before 6:30 a.m. on March 14, 2022, there was a chill in the air as Caitlin left for work. As part of her normal routine, she was headed for the bus stop. At the same time Caitlin was beginning her day, a woman with a lot of arrest warrants under her belt was headed her way in a stolen van. The woman hit Caitlin with the van, and just kept going. A passerby witnessed this, and jumped into action. He followed the driver. When driver tried to flee, he stopped her, and held her till the police arrived. Heartbreakingly, Caitlin's injuries were fatal, and she passed a couple hours later. Paris Gary, June 29, 92 to August 3, 23. On June 29, 1992, a woman went into labor prematurely and soon delivered a gorgeous baby boy. The newborn had possessed one very noticeable quality many newborns didn't. He weighed 10 pounds. Premature, a gentle giant, from start to finish, and she named him Paris. His nickname was Petey. He had lots of energy. He learned to tattoo in his late teens. Later he learned how to cut hair and opened a barbershop. At 31 years old, he was a loving dad to 5 beautiful children. This gentle giant was living a life he loved and had worked hard for. Thursday afternoon, August 3, 2023, Petey left with 2 friends. Of the 2, only one was actually a friend. Within a couple hours, the other friend had shown himself to be a ruthless killer, having murdered Petey and the other man. Paris Petey Gary, the gentle giant, lost his life that day at the age of 31. So much was lost that day for so many people. The man responsible for taking 2 lives that day was arrested and charged about 60 minutes after he did it. So many lives destroyed. Left to mourn. Shattered. Ryan Willis, August 1, 98 to July 11, 20. At the tender age of 11, Ryan eagerly anticipated the arrival of his cousin. Overflowing with excitement, he rushed home to assemble a heartwarming surprise for the newborn. What made it even more special was the fact that he had welcomed a delightful puppy into his life just the day before. Yearning for the perfect moment, he attempted to discreetly bring the puppy to the hospital, envisioning a joyous introduction. Alas, fate had other plans, and the sweet reunion between the new family member and the furry friend had to wait for another day. On Friday, July 12, 2020, Ryan and his girlfriend had been bickering. To ease tensions, she promised him a surprise. Later that day, during their meeting, she handed him a mysterious pill, casting a curious veil over their strained relationship. Ryan had been looking forward to going dirt bike riding the next day. He went home and went to sleep. Forever. His mom found him the next morning. She continues to seek justice to this day. Tabitha DeBoard, September 11, 85 to May 14, 17. Tabitha was a skilled nurse practitioner, and she loved her job. She loved spending time with her boys. She enjoyed journaling. Her mom jokes that Tabitha was very good at following directions, unlike herself. Mother's Day, 2017, Tabitha, her 2 boys, and her mom had been planning to visit family out of state. At the last minute, Tabitha changed plans. She wanted to attend a concert with a friend, so her mom and boys left on the trip. Later that day, Tabitha's mom received some very disturbing text messages from her daughter's number. Those messages led to the discovery of her daughter's lifeless body. As her family made funeral arrangements, the police were investigating her murder. Soon they had someone in custody. An old friend of hers from high school. Tabitha was 31 years old when she was taken. He pled guilty and will be eligible for parole in 2037. Adolfo Vega, July 9, 80 to April 6, 22. When Adolfo was born, his oldest brother called dibs and claimed Adolfo for his own. His big brother loved coming up with silly little costumes to dress him up in. One day Big Brother put a shower cap and sunglasses on Adolfo and had everyone in stitches. A couple days prior to his murder, Adolfo was beaten up by 2 men and spent the night in the hospital. They had broken his arm in the altercation. On the verge of homelessness, Adolfo decided to make some major life changes. Later that day he asked his mom for a ride, and she dropped him off where he asked, then returned home. A few hours later, the local police were at her door to tell her he had been shot and was deceased. Some time later, a man confessed to the shooting. He was arrested, booked, and posted bail. Adolfo's family are fighting hard to see justice done for the man they loved and called family. Desiree Thompson, September 23, 1981 to January 7, 2012. In 2012, Desiree was living in a small California town with her 4 children. She had 3 boys, and like her mom, one daughter. At the time, she was doing her best to navigate domestic violence and raise her family. On the 7th of January 2012, Desiree vanished without a trace. On March 25, 2022, a tip from a citizen led to a backyard where the remains of Sherry's beautiful daughter, Desiree, were located. She'd lost her life in that house, and her killer buried her out back and walked away. Not only were her remains located, a man was arrested for her murder. Her killer walked free for 10 years, 2 months, and 19 days. Now he rots in a cell. It only took one tip from a citizen to help a mother lay her child to rest. One tip to give Desiree's children some form of justice. Nicholas Macaulay, July 30, 97 to November 10, 15, Nicholas left a lasting impression with everyone he met. His signature gift of joy, shown through his outgoing personality and laughter, will never be forgotten. He loved music and was an accomplished tuba and guitar player. Nick had been asleep in his room on the morning of November 10, 2015. Shortly after his mom left for work that morning, his best friend showed up, armed with a 12-gauge shotgun. The best friend then used the shotgun to shoot Nick once in the arm, with the pellets dispersing within Nick's chest. When authorities arrived, they found Nicholas had passed as a result. Initially, when questioned, he claimed Nick shot himself. Forensic analysis proved that to be a lie. The killer then changed stories. Eventually, the truth came out, and he was arrested, tried, convicted, and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Griffin Smith, November 14, 04 to December 2, 23. Can you recite James 1 verses 2 to 3 from memory, or maybe Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6? Griffin could, as well as 1,000s of other Bible verse he had committed to memory. Griffin excelled at Bible quizzing tournaments. On December 2, 2023, 19-year-old Griffin was sitting in his truck behind the local Dollar General. Suddenly shots rang out, shattering the peaceful quiet of the day. Having sustained several gunshot wounds, the young man had the presence of mind to escape. Somehow, he drove his truck about a mile, then stopped. When help arrived, he was rushed to the emergency room. The wounds he sustained proved too much, and he died a short time later. His family is devastated, but his mom has taken up the fight to see justice for her son, and there's no doubt she means it. Anyone with information about the homicide can call Detective Daniel Pinder at 352-368-3508 or the Marion County Sheriff's Office non-emergency line at 352-732-9111. To remain anonymous, tipsters can contact Crime Stoppers at 352-368-STOP 7867 and reference 23 to 65 in the tip, or visit www.ocalacrimestoppers.com. LaDante Collins, June 12, 87 to February 2, 10. LaDante was said to have the best day of his life, the day his much-anticipated baby girl was born. 2 weeks and 2 days before, he had the absolute worst day that ended with his murder. Around 4:30 a.m. on the 2nd of February, LaDante was driving with 2 friends when they got a flat tire. They pulled into a gas station and decided to call a cab to pick them up. They walked around a little as they were waiting. When the cab pulled up, a man and a woman came out of a nearby motel to claim it. This caused a fight to break out, and the man from the motel stabbed LaDante in the chest. The killer then escaped on foot. LaDante was rushed to a nearby hospital where he passed from the stab wound at 5:29 a.m. After a 3-day-long manhunt, LaDante's killer was apprehended. In court, he pled guilty to the charges and faced a 14-year prison sentence, while LaDante's loved ones were given life without him. Matthew Christensen, October 19, 95 to April 29, 15. Let's go back to April 29, 2015. Two young men had 19-year-old Matt meet them at a local elementary school. Matt saw no problem with this as the two were not only known to him but he had known them from elementary school. They had asked him for a ride, and he had agreed. Soon after arriving to meet them, Matt learned, too later, that neither of them were actually who they pretended to be. One of them had brought along a gun, with the intention of robbing him. He used that gun to shoot Matthew several times. Then they stole Matt's car. The two young men left and picked up a third friend. The three then returned, and found Matthew still alive. Barely. Instead of trying to help, they left again. This time they went to McDonald's, then to see a girlfriend. They ditched the car, and returned to the crime scene. This time, they found their victim, deceased. His body was found by someone walking the following morning. The two men were arrested a short time later, and charged. One got 18 years, while the other got 25 years. Matthew's family and friends received a life sentence of living without him.